now with the Codes Administration. And I note that Councilman Pridemore is with us. And Terry, if you could introduce yourself and your colleagues and then handle the presentation any way you like.
Thank you. I'm Terry Cobb. I'm here to present the budget for the Department of Codes and Building Safety. And with me today is Roy Jones, Assistant Director over our Administrative Division. Bill Penn is here, Assistant Director over our Property Standards Division. Also Bill Herbert, our Metropolitan Zoning Administrator, and Wade Hill, who's Assistant Director over all Construction Services, but who also has stepped up in the past few years to serve as Acting Director of the department and manage the department day to day as I've been working in the mayor's office as in a role as Director of Development Services. So I'd like to say Wade's done a tremendous job managing the department in a time of unprecedented growth in Nashville. I also want to take just a moment to thank the employees and managers in the Codes Department. It's a group of public servants dedicated first and foremost to public safety, but also customer service and economic development of our city. They work every day to make our buildings safe for our citizens and our visitors, and to make sure our communities are strong and become more attractive. In the current fiscal year, there were four things that are a little bit different in this fiscal year versus previous fiscal year. One is at the beginning of the year, we assumed responsibility for alarm registrations. It was transferred from the Metropolitan Clerk's Office to the Codes Department on July 1st. We're in the middle of our first cycle of alarm system registrations. Things are going pretty well, but we believe that they can be significantly improved as we add an automated renewal process in the next alarm registration cycle as part of our CityWorks Kiva project. That work will begin this summer. Also, you'll recall, Mayor, last July the 8th, we opened the Development Services Center on the ground floor of the Metro office building, where we brought all of the Metro departments involved in permitting, construction, and development projects into one space and established a true one-stop shop for permits in Nashville, maybe one of only a dozen or so that may exist in the United States. Thank you for taking the initiative to see this project through. The third project is we've worked throughout the year on our CityWorks project, which is a replacement of our Kiva computer system. We expect that project to go live this is April 1st, so next month. We haven't identified the date of the cutover, but we expect it to go live next month. Involves replacing permitting, inspection, licensing systems from codes, planning, water services, storms and water, fire marshal's office, historic commission, but we're also adding some improvements to water services in the area of asset management, and we're adding some functions of the public health department to that as well. The fourth item, yesterday we began receiving applications for short-term residential rental property permit applications. This was not one we anticipated at the beginning of the year, but the council adopted an ordinance that gave us this additional function. There are currently about 1,000 short-term rental properties operating in the Nashville area, according to our estimates. They need to be permitted between now and July. Yesterday went pretty well. Today appears to be going pretty well. It is causing some backup in the permit application process in general, but all the functions appear to be going pretty well. I want to touch on permits. In the calendar year 2014, Codes Department issued building permits valued at $2.276 billion, an all-time record level. It appears that in the fiscal year, which will end June 30th, that we'll exceed that number and set another fiscal year all-time record somewhere in the $2.4 billion range. This record level of activity is somewhere around 26% above the previous all-time high, which we set back in 2006. So not only did we pass the record, we passed it significantly, and
Might do it again. all
indications are growth in construction is continuing to accelerate. We see a lot of projects out there that the cranes are in the air. They're under construction on grading permits and foundation permits, but we haven't captured the full value of the permit yet. And there's at least several projects that would rival the size of the convention center project, just in the dollar value of construction.
Mr. Rooker's staff goes with you to those meetings. I want to make sure that they have an ulterior motive why I'd like to make sure they know all about those as well.
Revenues, Rich, we're going to be about $3 million over budget in revenue projections.
Whoa. It's like a gold star, won't you?
That goes straight to the general fund, and
They're doing their share. There's no question about that.
but also I made a note, Rich, this is my 26th budget presentation, but hey, who's counting, right? 26th. Once again, we expect to complete the year well under our allocated budget. One of the basic principles in operating the codes department is that we should fully recover our entire cost of operations for construction-related activities. We do that through charging user fees for building permits, inspection fees, plan review fees, licensing fees. In other words, our customers, the contractors, developers, building owners, business owners, are paying fees to us to fully offset our entire operation, which means that the bill is not going to the citizen taxpayers. It's not having to be covered by property taxes or sales taxes. These user fees also cover not only our own operations, but the indirect costs, our pro rata share of human resources, the legal department, finance department, general services. So after we cover those costs, all surpluses go to the general fund. In the past 2 years, the surplus has been approximately $3 million per year. This year, the surplus should be between $3.75 million and $4 million. Like all other metro departments, we've been asked to submit a 3% budget reduction for the upcoming fiscal year. That we've submitted these proposed reductions for your consideration. The area that would be hardest hit by these reductions would be our property standards division, the non-construction related area.
That's not a revenue producer, or
it produces some revenue, but not. It is not producing revenue that would cover the expense.
yeah. But that's one that,
Roughly 95% of our department's budget is people, cars, and computers. So it's impossible to reduce the department's budget by 3% without reducing personnel. Because permits and revenues are running all-time high, because user fees are running all-time high, because we're producing record surpluses, and based upon the record level of demand for our services, we do not believe the budget reduction or reduction in personnel is justified in the upcoming year.
I would agree with that.
Yes, what I.
Good.
Mayor, I just wanted to finish by thanking you both personally and on behalf of the department for your vision for the city of Nashville, for your leadership, for your support to me personally and to the department. Nashville's in great shape. We're on a great foundation. We're in a great position and with a lot of momentum that'll take us on into the future very positively.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for all your hard work. Just going back for a moment to I guess people call it one-stop shop, but it's bringing everybody together. And that concept was put into place, finalized this year, and how has the development community and others reacted to that? Has it been mostly positive?
I would say it's been extremely positive. That's the good news. They can come in and apply for a permit, and any department that they need to interact with is represented right there in one room. They can get questions answered. People are accessible to them. They don't have to drive from building to building all over Metro Nashville trying to find the person they need to speak with. If anything, we were talking about before we came in here, we may have created the illusion that not truly, absolutely a one-stop shop. You may have to go there more than once, but everybody's in the one place. The other thing is, by creating the one-stop shop, it creates, I guess, the mindset that it's going to be so efficient that I'm going to be in and out of there in 20 minutes, and it just doesn't happen that way. But it does happen much more efficiently and much more effectively than it would have had we not done it.
Okay. And can you talk a little bit about property standards? How are we doing in that regard?
We're doing extremely well. I think Bill Penn does an outstanding job managing the Property Standards Division. We have a considerably smaller staff than we had a few years ago. I think they're doing very well with the resources they have available to them. If there's an area where they're hamstrung, it's by state constitution, where when we do prosecute someone for a code violation, the court is limited to a fine of $50, which is not a great deal of money today. In fact, when the Constitution was written in Tennessee, that was the salary of a upper court judge.
That's a fun fact.
Right. So it was a lot of money, 200 years ago, but it's not a lot of money today.
Do you know who argued the case in front of the Tennessee Supreme Court where we tried to say that the $50 thing which should not be a limitation
Please tell me.
and lost the case?
Please tell me. I have a guess.
I'm not going to speak the fellow's name, but that was me. But
And you recall, we actually had a constitutional item on the ballot.
right,
The Tennessee's Constitution.
overwhelmingly defeated, overwhelming.
It was approved by 60+% of those who voted on the issue, but a constitutional issue has to get 50% plus one of the votes that were cast in the governor's election.
Right.
Whatever that means, I'm now told I need to reconsider my idea of what that meant.
Go back and take your constitutional law course all over again.
I guess.
Is there any effort to try that again? Are you aware?
I haven't really sensed that anybody's trying to push that. And you'll recall, Mayor, when we were able to get that, the Tennessee Municipal League really stepped out and fronted that whole issue. It's got to be passed by two general assemblies in a row,
Right.
and then it goes on the ballot
Yeah, it's very
at the
difficult.
governor's election. So it's quite an effort just to get it to the ballot. But once it's there, cities were barred from campaigning, for it or against
Right.
it. It's a political decision, and you can't use city resources to deal with the issue. There were quite a few city administrators and mayors and department heads that, appeared at night on the local TV talk shows and on news shows, and we tried to get the message out, and the Tennessee Municipal League worked real hard to get the message out, but it's a hard sell with the voters.
And the Constitution is pretty clear on it, actually. What are the majority of property standard issues we're seeing now?
Majority of property standards issues are real simple. It's cut your grass, don't park on your grass. Those are probably the two biggest ones. But a repair of a property, a dilapidated property, we get a lot of those. House needs painting, gutters are falling off. But those are a matter we've inspected. We issue a notice. We compelled by state law to give them a reasonable period of time to correct the violation. Then we re-inspect. If it's not cleared by re-inspection, then we issue a warrant, which is served by the Sheriff's Department. It's marked for environmental court, and we prosecute the case. I might add that we have one of the better environmental courts that exist in the country, and in my opinion, the best in the state of Tennessee. So we are fortunate in that regard, and we're getting really good support from the legal department in assisting us in prosecuting the cases.
Are you good shape for demolition issues, liens, or things?
I believe so. I don't recall the exact number now that we have allocated to it each year.
200,000.
200,000
Right.
plus whatever
Plus
we
what we
collect
bring in, right,
from
yeah.
previous, and that number is a sustainable number for us. Until occasionally we'll see a very large demolition project that just would consume the whole amount. And when we've seen those in the past, your office, the finance department's worked with us very well, as has the Metro Council, to address those issues. But 200,000 is a sustainable number for us.
Does the nature of the real estate market and this development that's taking place for properties that are not being maintained, does the market correct that because there's just availability of people to buy them? And
It's my belief that that has a great deal to do with the state of the economy. When we were in the Great Recession, there were a lot of vacant homes, a lot of foreclosed homes, a lot of homes that people just weren't financially able to maintain. But as the economy improves and employment improves, the real estate market improves, we have much less of that. So although we're probably understaffed in the property standards division for Nashville, we're fortunate currently in that we have a very robust economy. I'm noticing something else that I haven't quantified, but it's my opinion that in the past, the predominant number of code violations existed in the inner city, close to downtown, in the older residential areas of the city. And today, I don't see that. Today, it's my sense that the majority of the code violations are found out in the suburbs. If there's a dilapidated property in the core of this city right now, somebody's identified it, and they're planning to rebuild it, tear it down and build a new structure, or tear it down and build two new structures. So I don't sense that we have a inventory of dilapidated inner city properties anywhere near the extent that we have in the past.
that's good. Rich?
Yes, sir.
Nothing. Well, great, and thank you for working with our office on economic development. I think that's been a great addition, and thank you all for doing such wonderful work, and keep it up, and we'll do our best here. Thanks.
Thank you.